We have concluded our evening council meeting for this week. We had a large agenda tonight, lots of things on there. We have had some hard choices on this agenda, and we've made a choice with animal control to bring it in-house. Our contract with SPCA is going to expire, and it's time to make that hard decision. And tonight we had a lot of audience here and a lot of participation with thoughts. And as a council, we've concluded that bringing animal control completely into the city's control is going to be what the city is going to do in the near future, and that was the direction of the council tonight to staff. Along with that, we gave our California League of Cities representatives direction on some voting matters that he will be dealing with at that level at the conference next week, so he knows what our position is and can properly represent the city. And other than that, we had good attendance tonight, and I'm pleased with the direction we're going as far as our choices as a council, moving the city forward to give better services to the community in the future. Good evening. We will now open the regular meeting of the Clearlake City Council on Redevelopment Successor Agency, Clearlake City Hall Council Chambers, 14050 Olympic Drive, Clearlake, California, 95422. Thursday, September 10th, 2015 at 6 p.m. May I get roll call, please?
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
Councilmember Kurda.
Aye.
Councilmember Sabatier.
Here.
Vice Mayor Fortino Dixon.
Present.
Mayor Lucilo.
Present. Councilmember Overton, will you lead us in the pledge? And a moment of silence if we do not have an invocation.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to have a moment of silence for any of our fallen firefighters that have participated in the fires over the last few months. Thank you.
Moving on to adoption of the agenda, I will ask if there's any modifications to tonight's agenda.
Yes, Mayor, we're going to be pulling the proclamations for tonight.
Very good, thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Excuse me?
To approve the agenda with the noted.
Can't hear you.
Move to approve the agenda with
Excuse me,
said
anybody
changes.
wants it?
If there's any public, anybody like to modify tonight's agenda?
Phone number 7. That's not
That will happen later. Right now, we're just agenda.
Well, you said now you approve before discussion.
We haven't discussed anything yet. We're not on the consent agenda yet.
We're approving the entire agenda, and then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Sorry, they sound so much alike. So, one more time, I move we approve the agenda with the noted changes.
Second.
A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
Councilmember Kurda.
Aye.
Councilmember Sabatier.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Fortino Dixon.
Aye.
Mayor Lucilo.
Aye. Moving on to public comment. This is where each person has their option to speak for 3 minutes about anything that is within our jurisdiction but not on the agenda. We do have a couple people that have already filled out the forms. Mr. Jim Scholes, if you'd like to come speak on what's happened to redevelop bond money.
Jim Schultz, City of Clearlake. The last time I attended a city council meeting, Joan Felipe was on the way out, and she reported that the state had okayed the redevelopment bond funds to be used by the city. She also listed a number of programs and many things to do with that money, including making some progress on the regional shopping center. We're talking $6 million here, and I'm just curious why we haven't heard anything about that. Why has that ball been dropped?
Please. We're not able to answer you now, but please contact any one of us or our city manager and ask the question again.
Okay.
The next person is Jim Honegger. Honegger, thank you. And he'd like to speak on Obligate Canyon.
Well, I know you're in talks with property up there, so I know where it's happening, so I'm not going to answer why you haven't been doing anything, because I know you all have been. My question is, the acquisition of property, why is the city buying real estate? And why are we out of the dead end of Ogden Canyon Road? Would the city have any business out there? Drove by there today, it's a desert, and near as I can tell, there ain't water or sewer up there. What does the city want that property for? At any price. And is it even in the city limits? Just asking.
So yes, just like the former person, we cannot answer you from here, but you're more than welcome to contact us or the city manager, who can answer those questions at a later time.
You're spending the city money on real estate. It should be discussed publicly.
We have rules of public comment.
We're not going to happen.
Oh, you're going to tell us how much you spent after the fact.
Thank you. The
Why
next,
did we come down here?
the next public speaker this evening is Bill Shields. Come on up, Mr. Shields. Mr. Shields,
Tell them to go quiet down.
excuse me.
I'm sorry, it's talking to the audience, not you.
There are specific rules that we have to follow under the Brown Act about how we conduct the meeting. We have to keep order, and there are only certain circumstances where we can have discussions. The item must have been agendized. We're unable to respond to anything that's brought to us in this public comment forum. It's not out of disrespect, it's the
Can you explain to us the proper
So we're not
forum?
able to go back further.
Please explain the proper forum to answer why is the city buying real estate.
Please call our city manager.
So I'll be the only one to know, and I'm supposed to tell everybody else.
Excuse me.
If he can tell
Your
me,
time-
why can't everybody be told?
You are interrupting someone else's time. Mr. Shields, you are next. Do you want your...
Good evening. I am concerned about my homeowner's insurance and my vehicle insurance. It keeps going up. And I thought the city had something going with the insurance company because the way I see it, it's based on claims, accidents, and crime. Now, if there's a lot of crime and accidents, the rate keeps going up. Now, the way I see it, the city council is responsible for 10 square miles. Now, are there a lot of crime and a lot of accidents that keep jacking the insurance up? What's going on? Now, you do not even keep us informed of the crime going on here. It's like Thursday evening till Monday morning, unless it's a holiday, there's nobody around. This city is completely out of control. If you try to call City Hall, you get an answering machine. Now, what's going on here? I mean, you people have to do something about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak at public comment this evening? Seeing none, I will close public comment. Oh, you come up to the podium, please.
My name is Tara St. John. I'm starting the LakeCountyFilm.com, and I just wondered, I didn't hear what happened on the first thing on the agenda, so I'm trying to sort it out.
The proclamations have been postponed. There's two this evening. They've been postponed at this time.
Oh, they won't be addressed even tomorrow evening or anything?
No, possibly at the next meeting, but not at this time or at this meeting.
Okay, so I would just talk to the city manager. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else on this item? Okay. Seeing no one, I will close public comment.
Just want to get
Come on up to the podium.
Good evening. My name is Matt Nelson, Clearlake resident. Good evening, council. Sorry that I came in late. I just wanted to go over real quick an issue that was brought to my attention, and that is in regards to the windows that were purchased through Home Depot for a city building. In lieu of going through like a Valley Glass or Mendo Mill type thing. And basically what I was trying to figure out, amongst other people, we understand that there was an amount of about $10,000, give or take, that was spent for Home Depot to come in and have city employees install the windows when the Valley Glass was working on something that was thousands of dollars cheaper. We're in the neighborhood of $7,000 that would offer 2 laborers, 2 days, and no charge to the city because they wanted to try to help the city. So we're trying to get some answers for that if you guys wouldn't mind speaking about that. Like I said, I've got the paperwork here that was given to me by Renee over at Valley Glass. I just got in from Napa, so I literally came in, changed clothes, and got down here just in time. So I do have all the information here. If you guys would like copies, I can arrange for that too. So
Not a problem.
thank you very much.
That's fine.
I won't take any more of your time. Thank you.
If anybody would like to speak at public comment, come on up to the podium.
Yeah, I'm new here. Just moved here a few months ago. So with regards to Matt's statement, any response?
Unfortunately,
Speak into the mic, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. I said in regard to Matt's statement, accusation, whatever, is there any response tonight?
unfortunately, just like the rest of public comment, we cannot answer and get into dialogue during public comments. We can refer it to staff or to one of ourselves at a later time, but we cannot go back and forth during the public comment portion of a meeting. That's the rule.
So this is recorded, and then someone will get back to him and get back to the town, whatever, or
He is
myself?
more than welcome to contact the staff. Our city manager is right here present, and so are we.
Excuse me, there's between acting
Excuse me.
and responding. You can't act on anything when you
Excuse me.
can't talk about it.
I will not tolerate outbursts.
We should be tolerating this.
Excuse me. I will postpone the rest of the meeting and stop it right now. I'm not going
Nobody's
to do this.
It makes it very difficult to carry on, let's say, a conversation when it's like weeks or whatever in between. It's so intangible.
Go ahead. Yes.
If I may respond. Things are being brought up to us that we may not be aware of. We need to look into it. Responding with an actual fact might be false. So we need to make sure we bring correct information. Us not saying anything is not that we don't want to do anything and that we're not going to do anything. We will look into it, and there will be a response. However, a response right now does not carry all of the information that is required to give you guys a proper response.
Are you familiar with his accusation statement? Are you familiar with what he
You
said?
can't go back and forth with question and answers at this period. It's a public comment. You guys can come up and make your comments. So far, everyone's asking questions, and the mayor advised we cannot respond.
And please
Because
contact...
it's a non-agendized item. If you would like to address the attorney at a break, you're more than welcome to do so, but we're trying to follow Robert's rules and not have a Brown Act violation. We can only deal with things that have been posted for the public notice 2 weeks prior to our meeting. Thank you.
And please contact us outside of the meeting individually and talk to us about those things. We're all available to everybody as well as our staff.
If you'd like to speak, you're more than welcome.
Hi, my name's Don Hunt. I own Valley Glass. I just want to say that...
Can you get to the mic?
My name's Donald Hunt. I own Valley Glass. I just want to say that I've been here for 26 years. I've been established for a long time. I think it's a beautiful town. I love my town. I work very hard. I do a lot of donations to my town. I think we all need to calm down here. We all should work together. And we should all, if we got a problem, we should ask these problems, and we should definitely stick with our community. I know when we have a new gentleman here, and he's listening to all this stuff. He probably don't know what in the world's going on, but just hang in there, you figure it all out. And I know a lot of you other guys around here, been around here. I love our chief. I think he's trying to do the best he can. And I think we all trying to do the best we can. Times are really bad right now, and we're trying to do what we can to do what we can do. And we just need to stand back and breathe a little bit and try to work together here, you know. And I think we can do all of this if we just too much anger is going on and just too much problems, and we're not working together no more. And there's anger here, there's anger there, there's upset. And I mean, it has a lot to do with you guys, it has a lot to do with us, it has a lot to do with everybody, but we just need to step back and just start working together and make things work out real good. And I know the gentleman here, Mr. Russ Murdoch, all these new guys that's been in here, they just got in here too, and this gentleman here, and there's been a lot of other ones been here for a long time, and they need to find out what's going on and work together on all of this stuff. And Mr. Murdoch, and I definitely don't know much about him, but I definitely know his mom, and she was very much the same when it came to our city. She loved our city. I think if we all just behave and calm down a little bit, we can get things done. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else at public comment? Okay, seeing none, I will now close public comment. Moving on to the consent agenda. Oh, is that on here? Oh, sorry, after the adoption, I'll turn this over to our city manager, our city attorney.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, and members of the council. There's no action taken in closed session.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Is there any item on the consent agenda the council would like to pull?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to pull item number 7 and item number 8, please.
7 and 8 before. Is there any item on the consent agenda that anyone in the public would like to pull?
5.
5, thank you.
Any others? Did we get the 2 that you were asking for?
Very good. Seeing no one else, may I get, let's talk about 5. Yeah, we'll do that for you. 5, okay.
Madam Mayor, would you entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as submitted with the exception of items 5, 7, and 8?
Yes. vote.
Councilmember Overton. Aye. Councilmember Purdott.
Aye.
Councilmember Sabatier.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Fortino Dixon.
Aye.
Mayor Lucero.
Aye. So item number 5, I'll turn this over to our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. The city was successful in obtaining a grant from Cal Recycle for illegal disposal site abatement. The grant award is $160,000, and what we're doing right now is we've got proposals for a comprehensive asbestos survey and lead-based paint assessment in order to demolish a couple of structures, one located at 18718 Emory Avenue and one at 14709 Palmer Avenue. So essentially, we got some proposals to do that work, and here we have a proposal that's for $5,995 for a contract with Geocon Consultants, who will be doing this work.
Thank you. Anybody from the council have a question? Okay. I will open item number 5 up for public comment. Does anyone have public comment on item number 5?
Now, what did they do for $6,000?
Well, they haven't done anything yet. What they're going to be doing is an asbestos survey and a lead-based paint survey. So they'll be going into the buildings to see if there's any of those hazardous materials that need to be abated.
Now, there's a lot of money in recycling. I mean, every time you go to the store, you pay for recycling. You go to a repair shop, you pay for recycling. It's a money-making operation. Now, the city should be getting money from these people instead of paying out money to them. Thank you.
Is this not a grant?
This is a grant. It really doesn't have anything to do with recycling, other than it comes from this. Cal Recycle is the entity that gives out the grant. This is specifically.
I can't hear what you're saying.
This is specifically to deal with hazardous materials abatement.
So we did receive money from Cal Recycle in a grant that we are now proposing to utilize by paying Geocon Consultants to determine the need and disposal of any hazardous materials on these properties.
Correct.
Thank you. Any other questions on item number 5? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to item number 7. Oh, separately? Okay.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 5 on the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Overton. Aye. Councilmember Purdott.
Aye.
Councilmember Sabatier.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Fortino Dixon.
Aye.
Mayor Lucero.
Aye. Moving on to item number 7.
So this is a contract for planning services to complete the 2040 general plan update. So to make kind of a long report a little bit short. A couple of years ago, the city contracted with Cal Poly to do the general plan update. They basically completed everything that they were going to do. The general plan update is still not complete, and there were some inconsistencies in it. We will be hiring Price Consulting Services if you approve this contract. We will be using Series B bonds to pay for this. It's approximately 40 something thousand.
47,000.
47,000. It will not be coming out of the general fund. It will be coming out of our Series B low-income housing fund because it's related to the general plan, and so it's an allowed use.
And the only reason I wanted to pull this out is simply, sorry for the additional time for the meeting, but I just wanted to be more transparent, let the public know where the money was coming from in order for us to complete the general plan, that it was coming from our Series B bonds money, rather than just approving $47,000 without discussing it. So that was put out in the public, so thank you.
Councilmember Purdott?
Make a motion to,
I have to open it to
oh,
public.
sorry.
I'm going to tell you no, no. Does anyone from the public want to comment on item number 7? Come on up to the podium.
Excuse me. City manager is, of course, right. It's quite a complicated and huge document. I flipped through it casually the other day, and something just really jumped out and smacked me in the side of the head. The roads, the streets, the city doesn't have any roads, I'm told. The streets are probably the number one concern, other than, crime or violent injuries or whatever. The streets is way up there, way up there, and it's deteriorating constantly. I watched my page street turn to gravel. Still paying taxes on a subdivided house, free plan development. Anyway, I was flipping through there in Appendix A from the Price Consultants, in what is they hope to get accomplished with this update plan. In Appendix A, page 12. C. Prepare new circulation element. And it said it would include a different acceptable level of service for the purpose of economic development. That's question 1. What is the new standard plan to be? 1. 2, unlike what we were just told here, what I read in the back, and what you have, that money came from the police recruitment fund. But it still leaves enough in there, city manager says, to be legal. And he just sat there and lied to us. That came from a housing, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. And they get $30,000 to pay price. How come we can't get cameras for our police department? $30,000.
Quite interesting. Is there any clarification that you can give on that?
Yeah, I believe he's mixing up the contracts.
No.
The $30,000 contract was for Price Consulting to provide planning services to the city. This contract is for Price to finish the general plan. They're two separate.
Exactly. I'm talking about. Read what you printed. It's online.
Excuse me. Mr. Sheehan?
Now, I'm trying to understand this. Are you selling a bond to hire a consultant? Or what are you doing?
A number of years ago, back when there was redevelopment, there were several bonds that were issued. There was a Series A bond and a Series B bond. This, I don't remember, this was definitely predates me. It was, I don't know, 09 or something, if anyone remembers, 06. So in 2006, these bonds were issued, and the money has kind of sat there. So now we're trying to utilize that money for different projects.
Well, how much money are you talking about?
$47,000.
25,000?
47.
Well, if it's my understanding, years back, the city sold to redevelopment $16 million in bonds. Now, where did all of this $16 million go?
That's not what's on the agenda this evening. We got to talk about this item. Anyone else on item number 7? Okay, seeing none, I will close public comment. Ask for a motion.
May I ask a quick question? The gentleman did come up asking for clarification of the, let me go back to what he was asking here, the preparation of what the different, where is it, 12C? It will include a different acceptable level of service, and since I see Gary Price right here in the audience, I'm wondering if maybe he can respond to that as to what exactly that means in comparison to what we have. Thank you.
Mayor, members of the council, good evening. That particular question has to do with the student project that recommends a strict level of service C for the entire city for everything. And that's really difficult to achieve if you're trying to accommodate economic development. That costs millions and millions of dollars to do a level of service C in areas where you've got levels of service D already. So the idea would be to develop a new policy that would address that and allow the council to make decisions on a case-by-case basis to reduce the level of service C to possibly D in some instances where it makes sense and you need to accommodate business development.
So in case that's not clear about what the level of service is, that essentially means how bad traffic is. Yeah, so, so by having many jurisdictions in large areas have like a level of service F, which is bad. So having D is better than an F, having a C is better than a D, but it then requires you to have more infrastructure, larger roads, more roads. So it costs more to do that. That's essentially what that was saying.
And it really deals with more of the urban levels of services like the intersections on Highway 53. Doesn't really deal directly with a lot of the rural roads that really the general plan also needs to address that hasn't. And so that goes around the question. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much for that clarification. So with that, make a motion.
So, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 7, I believe it was, on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
Councilmember Purdott.
Aye.
Councilmember Sabathia.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Fortino Dixon.
Aye.
Mayor Lucio.
Aye. Item number 8.
We have an application from Walmart to expand their existing facility. They're proposing to go from approximately 110,000 square feet to about 150,000 square feet. In order to do that, they need to do what's called an environmental impact report. We are proposing to, well, we already have Rainey Planning and Management under contract for a certain amount. This is several years ago when Walmart came forward and wanted to do the same type of thing. The council approved Rainey Planning and Management for a certain amount of money and for a certain scope of work. Now, it's several years later, Walmart is back. The scope needs to be revised. There's additional work that needs to be done. And so this is just to approve a contract to amend their existing contract to add an additional scope of work with additional money. Now, the city, even though it's a contract with the city, it's the money is essentially a pass-through. Walmart will be paying the entire cost of the EIR, as well as the cost for the city to review the EIR. So there's no cost to the city to do this.
Thank you.
And Madam Mayor, the reason I pulled that again was for that exact thing. I wanted to make sure and be transparent with the public that we are not spending any money on this, that this is all coming from Walmart, who is wanting to do this project.
Okay.
Could I ask a question?
I will open it up in 1 minute, yes.
Anything else from you?
So if you'd like to speak on item number 8, you can go ahead and come up to the podium, and now will be the time that public can speak on this item.
My name is Carol Fox. I live on Dam Road. And I'm wondering, does that impact study or environmental impact study involve the impact on the sewer? Seeing as I've had problems with the sewers backing up into my house, my neighbor actually on a constant basis, because you've overloaded the sewer to the point where they can't handle it anymore with the construction you added down there on down the road. Never had a problem to put the apartments up on the hill and added all the fast food restaurants. And now it's a problem. So any more people coming and using toilets at Walmart may cause problems for me.
Typically, an EIR does look at the impact on utilities. Gary, I don't know if you have any additional to add to that.
Yeah, well, I was assured the last time that we talked with the sewer, what do they call it?
Special district.
Yeah, thank you. That's what happens when you get old. Anyway, they assured me there would not be any more development until things were improved. Because we're all, on the verge of class action lawsuit against somebody for what's been going on now. So, anyway, thank you.
I'd like to respond to that. There's two things with sewer. One is the sewer system plant, which was recently improved. And that's
Make sure she hears
sewer
you.
district.
He's answering your question right now. If you hang on 1 minute, he's answering you right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there's two issues with sewer. One is the capacity of the plant, which was recently upgraded, and that's actually by the sewer district. It's outside the city's control, but nonetheless, they will be involved in this review. The other is the capacity of the trunk line to carry sufficient sewer to the plant. So the EIR will address both issues, and we'll make sure that we do an analysis of how much capacity is available in the line to provide for that expansion. Pardon me?
I was told there was none, and I was told the problem we're having is not just where I'm at, it's all over. So that pretty much says it, I think.
Yeah, if it's okay, I think it's pertinent for tonight to let everyone know that we're planning to have a scoping meeting on September 23rd here at 6 o'clock. And we really encourage your attendance because we want to hear the entire public's comments about how this expansion can affect them, not only sewer, but other physical impacts. So that would be certainly something pertinent that we need to address. It is already discussed as part of the scope of work that we're talking about tonight, as part of the contract with Rainey. But we certainly want to hear your specific concerns, because that's the first time I heard that there's actually a sewer backup problem.
Big problem. Well, I just think you get
Okay.
September 6th,
26th, 3rd,
23rd.
23rd.
at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Anyone else from the public on this item?
Hello again, Council. Matt Nelson. In regards to the, this is for the city manager, I guess. In regards to the expansion, have they spoke about, okay, with the expansion, is that going to be like a grocery type of Walmart? Is that what they're talking about doing?
Yeah, they are planning a 40,000 square foot expansion. It will include grocery and additional retail.
Okay. And will that include more jobs for our city?
Yes.
Right, good, okay. And then also, as far as the expansion, is the property going to be reassessed for taxes, as far as property tax that the Walmart sits on right now, to bring more, essentially, more into the city?
Well, that would be up to the county tax assessor, but yes, by putting in a greater investment into the property, it should increase the property value.
Is that the intention of the city, to speak with the council about doing something like that?
Well, that's something the county tax assessor takes care of.
Okay, all right. All right. Great, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, I will close public comment on item number 8.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to approve item number 8 on the consent agenda.
A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Overton. Councilmember Purdock.
Aye.
Councilmember Sabatier.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Fortino Dixon.
Aye.
Mayor Lisboa.
Aye. Moving on to, let me make sure I don't skip anything on the bottom of these pages. Item number 12, public hearing to consider zoning ordinance amendment ZOA 2015-04, adding new article to the City of Clearlake zoning ordinance and provisions to regulate telecommunication towers, antenna, and related systems. Okay, public hearing. Continuing. Quick staff report first.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me just introduce Gary Price to give a real brief staff report.
Yes, this is a continued public hearing. This is a continued public hearing from the last meeting. And we received a letter from attorneys for Verizon regarding the regulations and identify a number of inconsistencies with regulations. So we've been working with their attorneys to make some revisions to the regulations. And there are a few substantive changes we've talked about. And so the question for us is whether we need to go back to the Planning Commission or to stay the course with one more hearing with the council. But the substantive changes are introducing some height allowances, which is in accordance with federal law, and addressing co-locations at more of a staff level approval. Which, when I say co-locations, I'm talking about an existing antenna that requires wants a modification, like another user wants to add their antennas to it as well. So those are typically minor and can be approved at staff level. And we think that most of the substantive changes are consistent with previous planning commission's concerns. So we really just want some direction on that. But we would intend, if we were given the green light, to move forward to the next meeting and hopefully have a set of regulations that will work with the community and can be supported and approved by the council.
Thank you. Councilmember Purdock.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Price, going through the Verizon letter and their intent to, my apologies. Going over the Verizon letter that they submitted that's attached to our item, they identify a 35-foot height limit as the federal regulation. But isn't that regulated to the heights in the districts for the homes? And I'm curious if any of their representatives have visited our city to know what our height limits are for residentials, typically not over 2 stories, which I don't think would, using the sight line, which is the type of antenna they talk about, shouldn't impede any of their use.
I think they're really more concerned with the city's, the perception that the city's precluding any opportunity for siting cellular facilities in the city. And with a 35-foot height limitation, they have to apply for variances every time. So the variance, although we've approved 4 this year for what's called a stealth antenna, which is a fairly tall antenna with, looks like a pine tree, and they blend in pretty well. I think the biggest concern is that the city has the ability to look at things from an aesthetic standpoint and making them blend in. And so basing the height allowances for these facilities based on the zoning district, they did not agree with. My approach with that was we were going to bring it up as part of the overall zoning code update that we're going to be bringing up to you in the next year, and looking at these as well as other types of structures. So what we came up with was a a height that's based on what is needed for the reception, and putting what's called a 1-to-1 ratio, which would be for every 1 foot of height, you have a setback of 1 foot.
Correct.
So if you had a 100-foot antenna, that could be a stealth antenna, the setback from the property line, perimeter property line would be 100 feet. And that's kind of in keeping with what some of the planning commissioners were talking about. So we came up with that standard. That's probably the most substantive change that we're looking at. We're still having to go, we have not had a chance to review with our city engineer or our city attorney, and we want to have that opportunity to do that. But we think this will work, this approach will work. And the Verizon attorneys at this point have approved that approach in concept anyway.
Very good. Thank you for your report.
I will now open item number 11. Oh, it is public hearing time. Anyone from the public like to speak on this item? Do I need to move to open the public hearing before we get public comment? No? I'm okay?
I guess past practice here is, I've seen some councils do it, some not do it. I don't think it's a requirement, but if that's what our past practice was, we should continue doing that.
This is like my second one, I believe, so.
I think to open it, don't worry about it. I think you should have a motion to close it, though.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, I don't care if it goes to the moon, I need my phone.
Yeah, the staff would recommend that we just keep the public hearing open for the next meeting.
Very good.
So we're actually looking for direction from you, whether to send it back to the planning commission or to send it to the next city council meeting. If we do send it back to the planning commission, we are going to have to do a 10-day notice in the paper. It takes a little while to get that into the paper, so there's going to be a bit of a delay. We figure probably, and then we'll have to do the same thing to get to city council. So it's probably going to delay about 45 days, more or less.
Maybe just to add, the reason of potentially going back to planning commission is because there's been changes to the ordinance since the planning commission approved it. And so it's really your decision whether you think you want to go back to them, to let them hack off on it again, or to move forward.
Council discussion on it? Councilmember Sabatier?
I just want to make a comment and then a question. My comment is I really like the 1-to-1 as well. I was reading the letter and that part really just fit with me. To me, it sounds safe. And if they can have themselves in the middle of a large property, then they can get that much more visibility for their cell tower for cell phone activation. Question, do we have any current cell tower requests that are going through the process as we speak right now?
Yeah, I did get a list of them from Julie today, and surprisingly, we have had 4 already. We have 1 pending right now, and then she's working with, I think, 3 to come in. And so, you know, my original thought when we broached this thing about 8 months ago was to do an urgency ordinance to study them because we're getting so many of them. But I think Joan was probably thinking we didn't really do that. So there is a potential that we can get a lot more in, but right now we only have 1 we're dealing with. But 45 days, you know, and we're talking about right now if it's approved at the next meeting, hopefully, then it's another second reading, in October. Then it would become effective 30 days thereafter, which would put us into November. If we have a 45-day delay, then we're talking about sometime next year. So that would be my only concern. That's, of course, the council's decision. Whether we need to go back to the planning commission, that's kind of your call.
Like he tends up everywhere. I don't know who went up first.
If I just may finish real quick, based on the information that we just received, since we already have 1 pending, I think we should go ahead and move forward. Planning commissioners can talk to us if they want to, but the changes to me seem to almost follow in step with what the planning commission has had already
discussed and wanted to see on this ordinance. So I think that moving forward is a safe way to go with the council, not the planning commission.
Councilmember Overton?
I reiterate that also.
Number 4.
Yeah, it just seems like there's some minor, these aren't really, doesn't look to me what I consider huge changes that we're going to be making here. Am I correct on?
Well, just to,
doesn't seem like
I think
it's
just to clarify that there was the height issue, and then the other one was taking what's called the co-location projects or the modifications to existing facilities out of the planning commission's hands completely, and that's another kind of thing that our city attorney needs to look at. But my understanding of the new regulations is that we have to treat these more like public utilities versus private projects. And so if someone comes in and wants to do a modification to an existing facility, whether it be in the public right-of-way, if there's adversity visually from a aesthetic standpoint, what we put in was a provision, instead of going to the planning commission, the ability for the staff planner or the community development director in this case to notice the neighborhood and get their input and apply conditions to mitigate those impacts, as opposed to having to go back and do a fairly significant public hearing process, which apparently is in conflict with federal law.
And yes, well, I mean, with those changes, moving forward, I think we can move forward on this also.
Councilmember Pearl?
I concur. Planning has done their due diligence. They've given their direction. I think we need to move forward.
I think you have your direction.
Thank you.
So we'd ask that the council continue this to the next meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
So we need a motion to continue the public hearing to September 24th?
Yes. Roll call vote. Councilmember Overton?
Aye.
Councilmember Purdock?
Aye.
Councilmember Sabatier?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Fortino Dixon?
Aye.
Mayor Lucelo? Aye.
Item number 12. 13, we're on to business. Okay. Item number 13, consideration of options for animal control services. I'll turn this over to it looks like our finance director is up and active at this one.
He's actually acting as our IT director right now.
Oh, okay.
Good job, sir.
We're cross-trained and multifunctional around here.
Thank you, Mayor. This is regarding our animal control services. So the history here, as you probably are aware, the city has historically contracted with the county to provide animal control services. Costs increased dramatically right around 2008, and the city was looking at various options and decided to take in-house the animal intake portion, where we have a field animal control field services officer who goes out and picks up the animals. That would be animal intake, while continuing to contract with the county for animal control facilities. The city was able to reduce costs in 2013 by contracting with the SPCA. We have an existing contract with SPCA for $20,000 a year to provide the animal control facilities. So essentially the way it currently works is that the city has a field services officer who goes out and collects the dogs or the cats, and then they take them to the SPCA facility, and then they try to adopt them out or redeem them to the owners. So where we are currently, the issue at hand is the SPCA has decided to terminate the contract effective October 1st. One of the tenants in the contract was that they could, with 90 days notice, they could terminate the contract, and they decided to do so. However, I met with them, asked them if there was a way that we could work something out on a longer-term basis, and they did offer to continue to provide services on a very limited time basis if we needed more time to figure out what to do. The county also has offered to provide services on a permanent basis. So we're at a position now where we need to decide whether to continue to contract out animal control facilities or bring it in-house as a completely city-provided service. So we've got a few options. First option, I almost facetiously put in here, is do not provide animal control services at all. Unfortunately, or fortunately, that's really not an option. It's required by law that we provide a minimum amount of services with regard to animal control. So we just can't say, sorry, we're not going to do it. Second option was we could contract with SPCA to provide interim animal control facilities until other options can be developed. The proposal that they put forth to me was that they would continue to do it through the end of January. However, the services would be limited to 30 dogs per month and 15 sick or injured cats per month for a cost of $5,000 per month. Bite hold dogs would be an additional $300 per dog. So looking at the pros and cons of doing that, the SPCA facility is located in Kelseyville, so it is closer than having our officers or our citizens go all the way out to Lakeport, and they will do a limited number of cats. The cons is it's a significant cost increase. We're currently paying, again, $20,000 a year. At $5,000 a month, that's $60,000 a year. So we're going from $1,667 a month to $5,000 a month. So it's a significant monthly increase. We're also limited on the number of animals. Currently, in our contract, we don't have a limitation on the number of animals, and we far exceed 30 dogs and 15 cats. And it's for a limited duration. It's only through the end of January. And then, as I mentioned, the citizens and the field officer must travel all the way to Kelseyville if they want to either redeem or adopt an animal. So another option would be to contract with the county to provide all-inclusive animal control services. This is where we were way back when, where the county did everything. We would no longer provide an animal control field officer, the county would provide that person, and then they would take it to the county facilities. That is the most expensive option that we were able to identify. But it's something then that it would be off our plate. It's not something we would necessarily have to spend a lot of other time worrying about. The cons on that is it's a significant cost increase. There is there as well a limitation on the number of animals that they are willing to take. We have a complete loss of control for the most part. We're not controlling the number of animals. We're not controlling anything. No pickup of strays. They only come out and pick up dogs. It would be only dogs, but they're only coming out to pick up dogs that are problems. They're not going to pick up stray cats. They're not going to pick up just stray animals. The citizens must go to Lakeport to redeem or adopt animals. We have a problem with a lot of our citizens not being able to have transportation to get out there or to be able to afford to be able to get out there. The county does offer a community cat program, but that's an additional $10,000. So to us as staff and looking at the budget, this just seems to be beyond what we could afford to do. So then a slightly lesser cost option would then be to contract with the county to provide animal control facilities only. When we looked at all the costs, it ended up actually being less costly than SPCA on a per animal contract, on a per animal basis. And we can contract with the county for as long as we need the service. It wouldn't be limited to the end of January. The cons, it's, again, it's a significant cost increase from where we are right now. There is a limitation on the number of animals, and I'll go into that in a minute. We're likely to have a temporary holding facility at the courtyard. My understanding is back when this was happening before, when their field officer was in the city, they would drop them off at the courtyard for a temporary time and then take them back out to the county. Again, we'd have a loss of control over the animals. There's no pickup of strays, and citizens would have to go all the way out to Lakeport to redeem or adopt animals. And again, with this, the community cat program would be an additional cost. Otherwise, they don't accept cats at all. And the way that community cat program works is that we pay, as a city, we pay $10,000 to allow our citizens to be able to drop off their cats, but then the citizens would have to pay an additional fee to the county as well, is my understanding of how that program works. So then option 5 is the one that we're recommending, is to provide services in-house for both short-term and long-term. So the pros for that is it will be, we're looking to locate this within the city, so it will be closer for the citizens and for our field officer to redeem or adopt the animals, and for the field officer to drop them off. Currently, our field officer goes all the way out to Kelseyville, drops off the animals, and then comes back. If we were to contract with the county, they'd have to drive all the way out to Lakeport and then back. So we'll get about 2 hours where they're not able to do anything really but drive. Here, they'd be able to drop them off within the city, so they'd have more time available to do other things. We have a potential for some short-term cost savings, and we have a greater control of the service. Cons, we'll be doing this in an interim facility. We'll be proposing to do this out of the existing Public Works Corp yard. We'll be making some modifications, some minor modifications, but we will be buying brand new cages. It would be something we propose to do. It's going to rely on existing employees and volunteers. I'm happy to see that the Animal Coalition is here, because we'll be relying on them very much, and I hope that they'll be in favor of this. Cons, as I was saying, it's an interim facility. It'll require hiring additional staff for long-term, and it may not result in any long-term cost savings. This is a little bit small, so I apologize to those in the audience, but I tried to put together a matrix of what the different costs were. We have 3 providers up at the top: SPCA, the county, and in-house. The first column says limitations for SPCA. The limitation that they're putting on us is 30 dogs and 15 sick or injured cats. With the county, they would be giving us 6 regular kennels. And the way that works is that the kennels are only available for a certain number of dogs while they're being held, and you can't bring additional dogs. So it'll be 6 at a time that you're holding. There's a minimum 3-day hold. So at max, at 30 days, 3 goes into 10 times, so we can turn those kennels over 10 times, so that would be 60 dogs at a max that could go through there. There's 3 quarantine kennels, which is where you put your bite holds. Then they have a community cat program. In-house, we're proposing to purchase 10 new dog kennels, and we have 24 existing cat kennels. So just right there, we have a greater capacity than the other 2 options. Time limitations, SPCA is only offering to do this until the end of January. The county is willing to do this for as long as it takes. And in-house, where we're proposing to do this, we could do it for 2 years or so. We're planning to sell this property for development, so it would definitely just be an interim. We don't anticipate that we would be there anywhere near that long. We would want to acquire and build permanent facilities as quickly as possible. The next one is the approximate monthly cost. With SPCA contract, looking at the 30 dogs, 15 sick injured cats, it's $5,000 a month, plus additional for a bite hold. If you look just below that, the per animal cost based on the 30 dogs and 15 cats is about $111 per animal. If we did that same comparison of 30 dogs with the county, the approximate cost per dog, and I don't show all the various breakdowns of how they charge it, but it's about $97 per dog. So it would be about $3,000 a month to the same number of dogs. Keep in mind they don't do cats at all. Unless we participate in their community cat program, but they're not picking up cats. I hate to keep saying that, but I just want to make sure that's remembered. And then in-house, for less than $3,000 a month, I think we can easily do the 30 dogs, 15 cats at about a cost of $67 per animal. The location, SPCA is at Kelseyville. The county is in Lakeport, and doing it in-house would be here in Clearlake. The temporary facility would be at the airport facility, and long-term is to be determined. So just to kind of explain the short-term plan, we would modify our existing public works warehouse that's out at the airport property. We'd purchase 10 new dog kennels that we can then transfer to the permanent facility, so that wouldn't be a throwaway cost. There'd be a very minor throwaway cost out of the public works to hook that into the sewer and potentially separate it. We would use half the warehouse for public works and half for the animal control, so we put in a separation. We would use existing animal control and public works staff and volunteers to provide 7-day coverage, so no new staff in the short term. We'd provide hopefully a greater level of service to the community due to the proximity. The long-term plan. We would acquire some property within the city limits. That would be either by purchase or lease. We would build a proper animal control facility. We have an estimate to do that for around $250,000. We would provide a higher level of service to the community just by being here locally in the city limits, and we could have the control to be able to ensure that the animals were spayed or neutered and that all the dogs were licensed. However, in doing that, we will need to hire additional staff and rely on volunteers. The costs, the short-term finances. So currently the contract is for $1,667 a month. That's what the $20,000 a year is. So it would go up to about $5,000 a month if we were to use SDCA. As I mentioned, the minor public works warehouse modifications, we're estimating that at about $3,000 at the max. We would attempt to keep the costs down in the short term by just using existing staff and volunteers. We would expect to have increased costs for veterinary services, animal disposal, food, a number of different things. We would keep the number of animals picked up low in the first few months. There's a lot of variable costs in this, so the more animals you pick up, the greater the cost is going to be. So at least in the short term, we would be keeping it somewhat low, the number of animals. Long term, we have a budget for animal control of about $89,550. We have estimated that the net annual operating costs, when you throw in all the expenses and all the projected revenues, at about $147,800. Oops, got an extra zero in there. So $800. That net increase is $58,250 plus any facility costs. Facility costs would be the cost to either A, acquire the property, and B, build a facility, or lease costs, or however that's figured out. Funding sources for that, we only have a few. A, could be out of the general fund, and this is long-term costs, the operating costs, essentially. This doesn't really address the building here. But the general fund, the senior center bonds will be paid off next July. So there will be money available that could be used for this purpose. There's no doubt about there's going to be an increased cost for animal services. I mean, no matter which direction we go, there's going to be an increased cost, so we have to just accept that. But this is one way where we would be able to have the money available in the general fund to support that. Looking for grants, getting donations, that's another potential source of money. Raising money through licensing, through microchips, through however else we could find some revenue sources, and then potentially some creative financing of who knows what. So our recommendation for you tonight is to authorize the city manager to take actions necessary to bring the animal control services completely in-house, keeping in mind that you're giving us direction on how you want us to move forward with the whole program, but any long-term actions, we will be coming back to you. So if there's site acquisition, if there's building costs, major purchases, construction, any of that, we'll still be coming back to you. But you're just giving us direction now on how you want us to go with the program. And that concludes my presentation.
basically which option we like the idea of. Thank you. Anything from council first? Okay, I'll open this item up to public comment. Anybody from the public like to speak on this item? Sure would. Come on up, item 13. Hi, Craig. Rita, you look nice.
Thank you, but that's not what it is, you guys. Hi, everybody. I'm Rita from Animal Coalition.
We can't hear you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rita, and I'm from Animal Coalition. I guess you know I've been doing this since 2001 when we started this. And this is not a good solution. And I would love that we had an animal control here. I would like that we controlled all this. But if you went down to where you want to have it, it's a disgrace. And no matter what you do, there's no heating in there. There's no air conditioning in there. And to have just one officer, this poor girl couldn't do it, Lee couldn't do it. And to think that you're going to be able to run it on the money you say, it's impossible. It's impossible. I don't care. Look at SPCA is trying to raise money. They're having all these events. They can't even raise money to run their own event, to run their own facilities. It's not going to happen. And you know, when you say, well, we can take in so many animals. We have more animals in Lake County, in Clearlake, than any place in Lake County. And it doesn't matter how many vouchers. We've gotten over 19,000 animals spayed and neutered, and it doesn't even put a dent. We're on the shame list on Fancy Dog Magazine for 6 years that we euthanize more animals in Lake County than any place in the United States considering our size. That's disgusting, you guys. That's more than disgusting. And this is not the solution that, you know, you guys, and I don't want to put the blame on anybody, but it's like you guys give us a little pacifier for a short period of time because it's been going on since 2001. Okay, this is the solution. Let's go put it where it was at before. When Lee was down there, that poor guy, he went, picked up the animals, he did citations, he cleaned up the kennel. That place was a pigsty. He couldn't do it all on his own. And the animals, there's no way that you can do it. And when we were paying, and I'm going to tell you in all honesty, you guys were giving the SPCA $1,600 a month. That was a shame. How could they take care of all those animals on that? You know, be absolutely honest, you guys. There's no way. There's no way. We went down there, we couldn't even walk into the place. It smelled and it was so dirty. And they couldn't help it. They couldn't help it. $1,600. You guys should have raised it automatically, and maybe they still would have kept us. You know, this is not the solution. You guys have to get back together. And it's easy to say, who approved this? I. No, you guys have to really get back to the table and figure what's good for the community and the animals in this community. I mean, I know we've got a lot of things wrong with this town, but the animal situation is bad. It's really bad. You know, and I'm not going to point fingers at anybody, but she needs to say something too. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Linda Pallas. I'm part of Animal Coalition. I would like to see if I can get this question answered again. This is in regards to the revenue that should have been coming along all this time with what services we do have. I'd like to know, have you had any citations? Have people paid citations? That is a big problem. I can drive anywhere in this city and I see unaltered animals. I mean, if I had a ticket book, I could write tickets every single day of the week and on weekends. We're not going after the people who are responsible for these animals, for these pets. So what can we do about that?
That's part of the other revenue that I talked about, finding other revenue sources, would be going after those types of people and getting them to me.
It's huge.
I'm sure that it is.
It is huge. You don't even realize what income you could generate just from citing these people for not having their animals comply with the laws of the city of Clearlake. If we could do that, it's going to make a huge turnaround. If we start with the people, it's not with the animals, it's with the people of this city, with all of us. All of us. So we need to follow through. A major population of the dogs and cats of this town. And it's going to be taxing on the city if we don't do something sooner than later. And as far as having, like you're stating, having the animal control at that facility, which would be shared, is not the way to do it. Have you looked at the building? Have you been in the building? Have you all seen the kennels that are presently there? Would you keep your animals there? I'm not getting an answer. Okay.
We're responsible animal owners, so it would be
Then the city should be responsible.
Okay, so those need to be either torn out, rebuilt, what have you, and add to, yes.
Part of the proposal.
So, you know, it takes a lot more people than who you have on staff right now.
Absolutely, which is why we thought we were counting on your organization.
Oh, okay. Well, I can add that maybe to my calendar, I'm not sure, you know. We have to see what you guys are going to do, because we will help only if you guys help yourselves. And we've been helping. We've been helping all the people in this town. Yeah. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Well, I have a question if you want to stick around.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind.
I will.
Come on back.
Yeah.
I will now.
So, let me just make sure I'm understanding everything first. In your opinion, the stopgap measure that was proposed, which is the city immediately taking on the housing of the animals at the courtyard, setting it up with new kennels and whatnot, and then asking the community to assist our current staff while we find alternative means to permanently deal with it. It's not a good stopgap, in your opinion? So it's not proposed that that would be the permanent solution.
What happens if you don't have volunteers come in on any given day?
Public Works,
So is the Public Works going to be responsible for letting the dogs out, cleaning the kennels, exercising the animals, feeding them? I don't think that's part of their job description,
I
right?
suspect that everyone intends to pitch in until a permanent solution is found.
Okay,
That's the intention. I mean, we all do what we have to do, right?
Right.
We make it happen because that's what
Yeah.
we do here.
Well, we saw what happened with the SPCA and the staff that they had there, and the overflow of animals that were brought in there and basically euthanized because they were overloaded. I can tell you right now that our facility here, if you create it, will become the same way. Because you don't, it has to be set up.
So what do you propose, do you have some other ideas for it?
Well, okay, I probably could, not right off the top of my head. I would definitely prepare something for you and bring it to the table, but off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Okay.
And we're here with our options at the moment.
Good afternoon, evening. My name is Elaine, and I'm a member of the Animal Coalition. I'm concerned that what I'm hearing here tonight is ignoring the feral cat problem in our town. I'm hearing the cat issue shuffled under the rug. And I'm bringing it up tonight because it's become my personal problem. Feral cats have moved into my yard, and there's nothing to do about it. There's nowhere to take them. My animals cannot use their yard, so whatever action is taken in regards to animal control, you cannot ignore this problem. I have people call me an Animal Coalition every day. I just moved to Clearlake. I moved into a house, and I've discovered it's overridden with feral cats under the house. What can I do? Where can I take them? And I have to tell these people, nowhere. Nowhere. There's nowhere to take them. this problem with feral cats has grown exponentially in our town. I keep hearing we have the best air in California, but when I step out my front door in the morning, I smell cat shit and marijuana.
That's not my
Daily.
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
My name's Don again, and I think y'all do a very good job. I don't know what the solution is other than maybe call Donald Trump and maybe he can fix his problem and make money. So I just like the idea of that. There's so much stuff that you guys are talking about. I don't know what it would take for us to get a new building. Like you say, you might have to do some regulation things. It's going to cost us a few dollars to get this problem fixed. But I'm sure it can be done. And I don't know if it seems to me like we have a problem like this. I always go to Sally, the Dr. Sally, and she just swamped. She just can't take care of stuff. I don't know what it would cost. You might pay somebody, a doctor, just to come in here and have a facility and let see maneuver their animals or something. I don't know how that would
Can't hear you, John.
I don't know how that would work, but that would probably be an ideal too. So I'm sure you guys want to figure something out. Until then, we'll do what we can. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Del Smith. I'm a coalition member. I just want to put in the part I heard. Temporarily, I think that we definitely need to go to the county. Save money, try to do the temporary thing for ultimately the permanent solution. I agree with a permanent solution. In the meantime, though, using the old yard, and that just isn't an option. Didn't work before. It's just a mess. There's no way. It's not realistic. Volunteers will come a couple of days, they'll be gone. The county did a good job. County's where we need to be right now. And a permanent solution, if that can be worked out, that'd be great. I understand we only have 2 years or less. The city manager, we talked before, I think you told me at best 2 years because of the development that's going to be going there. So that's, really short term. And suggestion was us keeping crates in our garages and bringing animals. That would never be an option. And things like suggestions like that just scare me. It's crazy. It's crazy. And one more thing too. Shame on the paper whoever mentioned that they're going to spend, I think it was $42,000 on a new front door to this facility. Boy, that would really help a lot of animals. Thank you.
I just wanted to say real quick again that when the lady was asking if you guys would keep your animals in a facility like that, everybody got quiet. Mr. Murdoch said that we're all responsible animals. Absolutely, I agree with that. However, the animals themselves are not at fault. It's the people, like they were saying, we got to have the personnel out there in order to cite these people and hold them responsible so that the animals aren't getting thrown in a makeshift shelter for the intern while we come up with a permanent plan. But how long is that permanent plan going to be? It could go on for days and months, and next thing you know, so I appreciate that, you're considering that, all of you. However, we're going to be coming into winter time, and it's going to be cold, and city guys, the maintenance guys, they're not going to be dealing with animals. They're going to be busy cleaning out, drains, and I see them out there over in the village already clearing stuff and putting in new drainage and everything, because we are going to get hit this year. It just got up to 95% chance of El Nino. And, they're not going to have time to clean up after animals or walk them or take care of them. A suggestion, this is just a suggestion. Chief, if I may, how many volunteers in policing do we have at the moment? Off the top of your head.
It's mid-20s, but actually out in the field is probably 7 to 10. Most of them are in the office right now.
Okay. one of the suggestions that I was thinking of while I was sitting there was if you may work with the volunteers, because I understand they're all background checked and they're all good to go and whatnot. They know what to look for. You're going to solve two problems here. One being with the animals and looking for citations, if you will. And the other thing too is unrelated to that, but having more eyes on the street to reduce the crime, to reduce the illegal dumping, etc. One of the folks on my Facebook brought up with the illegal dumping, right next to the picture of the illegal dumping up at the avenues was a dead dog. Had to have been eight months to a year old. I'm a big guy, I'm strong, whatever. That made me absolutely sick to the point where I started getting emotional. That's how much it bothers me. Okay, and I don't know if you're able to maybe stir up a couple of folks and have them go out there, but you know, I think it would be good to have some black and whites and some whites out there just cruising around, and that way we know that it's going to take some heat off of the animal control officer that you guys have right now, because I believe it's just the one, right? I mean, there's your volunteers. Plus, the community is going to see more units out there. So, and well, even code enforcement can be busy, but you know, they got their hands full too. But if we can get more people involved, I think what the Animal Coalition is saying, kind of like John Kennedy said, don't ask what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Well, if you guys can show us something by having more units out there that are helping, or you know, coming up with a little bit better idea. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but we're not dealing with human lives, we're dealing with animal lives. And I know with my 3 dogs, they're part of my family, as I'm sure everybody can agree. I wouldn't want to put my dogs out in the cold or in the heat. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Excuse me, I don't want to interrupt you, but if I could just remind people, if you want to have a conversation, step outside and do so, because we want to be able to devote our time to the people at the podium.
Sorry?
Go ahead. There was some background noise, and I don't want to be distracted from you talking. I want to be able to hear you.
My comment was about public works employees taking care of the animals. You know, I just don't see that happening. It requires a special type of person. And if I was dropping off my cat, especially the stray that I took in, that is the grumpiest cat in the world, that would require some special attention, I just don't see that being accommodated. And I wouldn't feel good rather about leaving my cat there. You know, public works employees, I don't see them doing that type of work.
My name is Marie Weathers. I'm a resident of Clearlake, and I'm a volunteer at the police department. I believe writing citations is a real waste of effort because nobody's going to pay them, and nobody will do anything about their animals. They don't care. As far as the volunteers helping to take care of the animals, that's an excellent idea. Most of us come and spend a couple of days at the police department doing things. All these people who are suggesting that we have volunteers do it need to come and volunteer. So we have enough volunteers that we can all do that a day a week. There's no easy solution. I would like to see us have control of our animals in this city. I want us to have control of our animals. And everyone needs to have their animals spayed and neutered unless they're breeding thoroughbred dogs. Thank you.
Anyone else like that?
How you doing today? My name is Brian Kinsey. I have a construction company up here. In the last year, I have taken my entire crews that we built in the middle of winter dog houses because there were so many dogs without dog houses. Mendo Mill supplied the material free of charge, and I had 2 crews work 5 days the whole week. I'm doing nothing but building them. We put the word out. and about 35 dogs got homes a week. In the last 6 months, I have rehomed 3 dogs personally. I've adopted another one, and I've paid the spade multiple dogs that people couldn't afford to do it, and they couldn't get to the vouchers because they're not in this town. If you talk to the businesses, Walmart, construction companies, Mendo Mill, the town will help you. But you need to go out and put the word out.
Seeing no one else, I will close public comment and bring this back to council. Councilmember Overton.
Okay, well, we've been through this so many times, and it's really funny because, I hate to say it, but you guys are the ones that wanted us to have control and build our own place. Now we're talking about doing it now, you're saying you don't want us to do that, stay with the county. You know, heating and air, of course, I think we all know we have to have heating and air in there. That's not, you know, of course that's not an option, that's what we have to have. It's kind of silly. As far as employees, we have lots of programs to use. Mendo alternative solution for people who need to pay their fines, the WAPS program through social services. So there's lots of other places we can get employees that cost us nothing, you know, so we can get volunteers and also employees that way. You know, I believe this is the only way that we have to go. We can't afford the county. It's so expensive, there's just no way we don't have the money for that. And they're not taking that many animals. So, I mean, and then what's the cost on the, if we keep it ourselves and we have to have an animal put down, what is the cost for that? Do we know what the cost is? Where do we take them from? If we have our own facilities, where are we going to do? And what's the cost for that? Would it be the county?
Right. At least for the interim, yes.
So there's lots of ways. Citations, the only way you can cite somebody for their animals is if you happen to pick them up and they have to come get them. I mean, we can't have an animal control person going around. I mean, how do they know who owns that dog? You know, there's no way to even be able to do that. The only way citations go out is if they happen to come into the facility and get them. So, I don't think we can stop people and check their dogs out to see if they've been spayed or neutered. I don't think it's something that we could take the time to do. It just doesn't make sense. So, I mean, I think this is the only way that we really can afford to go. And as long as we get our facility situated in the right way that it needs to be, we have these other programs to use for staff.
Councilmember Sabatier.
All right. Really don't like this situation. I was looking forward to spending money in different ways to help out our city, and unfortunately animal control has become a large issue that we have to take care of. I do have some questions though. I mean, it seems like we want to rely on, I mean, there's two parts of it. One of them was appropriate staffing levels for the new facility once we have our own facility. And yet we're still looking at $89,000 in costs for the year, potentially up to $200,000 with the purchase of the property included everything else that was on the report. I believe it was an extra $110,000 up to $80,000 to $110,000, which could add up to $200,000 a year for animal control compared to the $89,000 we're currently spending. That's just, it's just such a large number compared to what we're looking at right now. But we're looking at appropriate staffing levels. Right now we have one animal control officer. Is that enough? Is that appropriate staffing levels for our own facility? I mean, what are we looking at for appropriate staffing levels? Are we looking at hiring more, which would cost us even more on top of that?
It's in the back of the report. We have a projected animal control operating costs and revenues. I believe that's in there. What we have projected is to have an animal control officer, an office assistant one, several kennel technicians, and then we have control over the number of animals that we bring in. If we are overcrowded, then we don't bring in as many animals.
So that's the $152,000 right there,
Right.
Which doesn't include any potential cost of the property acquisition as well that we said again was $8,200 and $10,000 in the report, correct?
Right.
And I believe, if I heard correctly, that the majority of the folks, I'm not even going to say the majority, the unanimous feeling from the folks of Animal Coalition is not that they don't want us to have a permanent
We'd like to
solution.
have a permanent
It's
one.
that they do not like the interim solution of
Thank you.
using the public works yard. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Or just because of the condition.
And I'm looking at the SPCA. Why are we limited to January 31st? What is the reason that we cannot continue a relationship with the SPCA? Do they not meet the standards that we need to have?
That was the proposal to the three of us, was to end. It was going to be short-term only.
Even if we pay them the $5,000, or are they demanding that we pay
That was
more?
their proposal.
So there's no other way to continue it further than January 31st, even with renegotiations. That's it.
Well, potentially, but we have to make a decision tonight because the contract ends end of September.
Because I'm just torn. I mean, I heard, I know we have one animal control officer. We're almost looking like we want to rely on volunteers, and we're relying on volunteers right now for our visitor center, and that's not really working out for us the way that we anticipated it would work out. And what's the situation going to be like a month or 2 months or 3 months, possibly going towards the 2 years, if that's the case, with our interim, where we're relying on volunteers. To me, that's just not a good solution to create a solution that relies on volunteers. I have concerns with that. I have concerns with hearing about potentially public works, and I know that was not on the report, but hearing public works, I want to see them on our roads, I want to see them on our parks, I want to see them doing what public works should be doing. Not being distracted by having these cages and our animal control facility interim right in their public works yard. I don't know, this is, and I mean, we're talking about licensing. I know we just heard from a few people saying licensing doesn't work, you can't force somebody to spay or neuter, but yet we're also saying that could be a way to get money in the future. Is there a plan that we have in the future that we don't currently have? If we currently have it, why are we not doing it? What's the reason for believing that we might be able to make more money tomorrow off something that we're not doing today?
Well, currently, as part of the contract with SPCA, they're the ones who are responsible for ensuring that animals are spayed or neutered and getting licensed. So they also receive the money for that. So if we take it out, then we would then get the money for it.
And I think they get the revenue once they adopt the animal. How do they get the revenue?
SPCA?
Yes.
Yes, when people come and either adopt or redeem their animal.
Because I'm just wondering what the net gain on that revenue is, if there's more animals that they have to keep that they have to end up euthanizing versus animals that get adopted or redeemed, and what the net gain of all that is for their operation.
Excuse me, I got a suggestion.
Yeah, I'm stumped that we have a bad situation, and we have, unfortunately, the solutions aren't favorable.
I have a suggestion myself.
I can't reopen public comment is the problem I have at the
I'll just
moment.
say it. Have a group from Hill Road.
I
They can
can't,
clean the highways.
I can't, we can't have disruptions, we have to follow procedures. I'm trying to run a meeting, I'm sorry. Okay, Councilmember Kurdock?
Unfortunately, we can't change the city demographic and get responsible pet owners to just all of a sudden appear. We have a problem and we aren't ignoring it. That's why we're talking about it tonight. We've got four options, but doing nothing is what we were stuck with when we had no money and we had no animal control officer, and it just went rampant at that part. Now we have to step up and make a decision. And of those four options, none of them are what we would, they're not the A choice. But we have to make a decision right now, folks, about which one is the best one to get this ball rolling and to take some responsibility, and what's going to be best for our citizens. Writing citations is a fine thing. We can put people out there and we can write all the tickets, but if there is no place to enforce them or to have those fines paid, that money doesn't come to the city. Right now we have one person out there. Not only is she collecting and dealing with the animals, she's writing citations, she's trying to rehouse the animals with the proper owners if she can locate them, and it's a big job, and I really appreciate and respect that the work has been done. But as Mr. Folsom has pointed out, the option he's proposing for the city taking it over, and I have to tell you that's where I'm leaning, is it isn't the facility that once was, the Public Works building that we're going to rehab. We're going to put new kennels in there, brand new. We're going to have heating and cooling in the building, not what it was, because we recognize the responsibility to these animals. Unfortunately, I wish we could get the people who live in this city to recognize their responsibility for these animals, not to just have animals procreating, cats and dogs. But we have to start somewhere, and that's what we're trying to do. It's easy to come up and say, what you proposed isn't the best. We understand that. But we have a proposal on the table and we need to take action right away. And I want to thank staff for all the work you've done on this. You've met with as many people as I think you could. You've looked at what other cities are doing, and rather than reinventing the wheel, looking to see what's successful in their cities. And I thank you for that, Mr. Folsom. But we need some viable options. How are we going to address this? This is only one problem, and we have limited funding to deal with it. So we need to get the most bang for our buck.
And if I can just, am I allowed to interrupt here? Of course. Initially, this wasn't my first option. I didn't think that we could do it in-house. Staff convinced me that we could do it. So that's why this is our recommendation.
Thank you. And again, if Public Works needed to come in and clean a kennel, that's not in a day-to-day, as I understood. That would be in an interim emergency situation only, not on a day-to-day basis. We've talked with Mendo Lake Alternative Work Solutions for people who need to serve their time. They need to do community service, and we would try to fit those folks that work well with animals to work in our facilities, but also accepting as many volunteers as would like to come down and help us. That's how we're getting things done. But I can't recommend or rely on volunteer help, because when you're critical and you need those volunteers, sometimes they're just not there. So again, I appreciate that staff has made this recommendation. They feel that's the best way to go, and they're the ones out there dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. And I give a lot of value to that. So thank you.
Vice Mayor Fortino Dixon.
Okay. There's a lot of ideas out there, and I appreciate that. I think that's the beginnings of people being involved, and that's what we need, is lots of involvement. I was under the impression that the Animal Coalition was on board with this plan. I guess maybe I understood that erroneously. Issuing lots of citations, I seriously doubt that if we hired someone whose job it was to only issue citations, that person would even generate enough revenue to pay their own salary. It's not a way of, it's not a viable way of earning dollars. It just would not pay for itself, much less would it assist us in paying for kenneling and the other things that these animals need. When I'm looking at these proposals, not only do I have to take into consideration how much they're going to cost, what's proposed as far as workload, but when we're talking about this, our job is to look at where's that money going to come from? What else are we not going to be able to pay for because we have to move this money to this location? And we're talking about a proposal with the county that is more than 3 times what we have currently budgeted for these services. It's $114,000 a year, and they limit the amount of animals that they can deal with. So before we can decide to choose one of these options, we have to know where that money is going to come from. I assume that if it was revenue intensive to rehome these dogs, that the SPCA would be perfectly fine with the status quo. Well,
I think the SPCA, their problem is they don't have the room and they don't have the space and the staff to take care of them. That's why they're letting their contract go. And plus, it's just too overwhelming for them. They just can't do it. You know?
They're taking on a whole revamping of their own.
Yeah, and they're trying to just keep themselves afloat. They were almost in the hole when we came on board. I think they just was ready to take any money because they were ready to close down the whole facility.
Correct.
So this was kind of like a money to hopefully, I think, to bail them out. And I think, right, and we thought, great, this can help us too. But I think in the long run, I think now that it's been going, it's just overwhelming to them and not enough money coming in to make it feasible for them to do it. So I think that's the reason why they're pulling away from us. So, I mean, there's just, I don't think they have a choice any more than what we have a choice today. I think there's just decisions that we both need to make, and I think they made theirs, and we have to now make ours.
I'll let you go in 1 second. Sabatier,
I'd actually like to hear from our current animal control officer. Is that allowed at this point? As staff input? Sure. Being as you're the expert in the field.
Sure.
I'm Officer Teller. What kind of questions do you like to ask?
Well, I don't know if I have specific questions. What's your view on these options?
My view would be, I definitely think that our own facility is definitely needed. There's no way around it. Nobody wants to take us on. SPCA, they don't want our animals. It's our problem. Why are we pushing this off on other people? It's not the county's problem. It's not, the SPCA. They're not even located in our jurisdiction. So I definitely agree with the decision to create our own facility. What we do in the meantime is going to be, I feel like time will be of the essence to get this built. It is going to be a huge burden to try and find people to care for these animals. I do believe that the facility at the Public Works Yard will be okay. It will be adequate. In the meantime, I will limit everything I can to come into the facility. And yeah, I think it will work out. We just need to push on the facility being built, hopefully quicker than later.
A short sacrifice for a long-term, wonderful outcome.
Yeah.
So you see this as a stopgap between our transition from SBCA to a permanent full-time facility in the city?
We definitely need it. We need, like was said earlier, feral cat problem. I mean, we need to be able to address that. I have not been able to do that today. It is a huge problem in our city, and they're legally allowed to roam the city. There's no violation for them to be roaming around. Feral cats are allowed to be out there. And we currently charge people to get rid of cats that aren't even theirs, and it just doesn't seem like that's a right thing to do. And in the future, I hope to maybe be able to address some of these issues.
Are you familiar with ordinances in other cities? Do they allow feral cats to roam free?
They're not considered a domesticated animal. So, like, semi-wild. Not my cat.
I was just going to say, tell that to Mikey.
Thank you for your time and being here this evening.
Thank you.
Okay. I was going to say that I enjoyed all the involvement, but half of them left. So, with that matter, I was going to say the volunteerism was wonderful this evening, but I think that kind of lasted. With the SPCA, I believe they got overwhelmed. They negotiated their contract along, we agreed it was that. And I just think it wasn't ever meant to be a long-term thing either. There was an ending period to that contract, so we were going to have to address this at some point. Do I like any of these other ideas other than our own facility? To me, is renting. We're renting. We're just paying someone else to take care of a problem, and we're not taking responsibility for it ourselves. Exactly what our officer said over there. And I don't know about everybody else, but if I have the choice to own or rent, I'd rather own. So a city facility, to me, just seems, if we can do it, if it's feasible, feasible, if it can happen, it just seems like a much better option in the long term. I understand that we're going to have some crunch time and maybe some not so fun moments here in the near future. And I understand the frustration possibly from the public at what short-term means and what long-term means, because sometimes long-term things don't happen. But we will have to get to that. We are at this point where we have to do this. The number one option isn't an option, period. You know, we have to settle down and understand the reality of not having the money to continue to pay places like the county to take care of things that are our responsibility. I think that got done for a very long time, and that might be one of the reasons we are fiscally the way we are. So for me, I mean, I just think if we can get by and do this for a minute, and we're able to take care of ourselves, the more self-sustaining we can become as a city, the better off we're going to be in a long-term situation. Councilmember Sabatier, your kind of.
I was wondering if the city manager can go back to your matrix slide, please.
Do you have any idea what your volume is of dogs and cats that you're transporting to kennel?
To the SPCA right now, it's between 30 to 60 dogs a month.
A month, okay. And cats?
Actually, it's too many names. Whereas I would be limiting my intake.
Certainly, yeah. Okay. And what about cats? Are you transporting cats or no?
Yes, approximately the same. It's been a little bit more lately. I think the change in the difference in the weather makes it spike.
Okay.
Do you have a question?
Yeah. The reason I wanted to look at this is exactly the questions that Councilmember Fortino Dixon was asking, the number of animals that can be housed at the SPCA versus an in-house. And I know that we're being offered a $5,000 a month until January 31st, which is not exactly tomorrow, but it's somewhat in the near future. And wondering if continuing a service as is until January 31st, and then reviewing where we stand with potentially moving towards our own facility rather than an interim facility, so that we can continue the level of service that we're offering is a better choice than doing the interim right now where we cannot house as many animals.
Can I ask for some clarification? You showed 10 dog kennels if we do it in-house. How many dogs will be housed in each of those kennels?
It would depend on the type of kennel that we got. Ideally, we're looking at, and I really need Lee here to be able to answer that because he's the one researching this. But what he has described so far are, and I don't know the proper term for it, but they've got it's a two-sided kennel with kind of like call it guillotine cage, door in between. So
Don't use the word guillotine.
yeah, I know.
Let's use the word partition or door.
So there's a door separating the two sides.
Okay.
That you would move the dog from one side to the other to clean it. So that would be one cage.
So it's not
And ideally,
together.
you're holding one dog in that cage.
So
You could put two in those cages, but then it makes it a lot harder to clean exactly.
Okay.
Right, but we'd still be able to house more dogs through the month.
What's the average length of time that we keep an animal?
It depends. It depends on if the owner comes and picks up the dog. I can pick up 3 in one day, and then all the owners come and pick them up the next day, and then I get to charge them money, and we would be able to keep that money ourselves instead of the SPCA. Otherwise, if they don't, they're held for 4 days, and then I decide whether they can be an adoptable animal, and we would put them up for adoption at that point. If they're an aggressive dog, not friendly dog, then they would be sent to the county for their review and possibly euthanization.
And then the county's going to charge us for that on top of our facility now. So, which we pay for that anyway. So
Yeah.
it's not an extra
That's not a
cost.
change.
I personally just don't see where we have a choice. We cannot stay with SPCA until their contract, until January, and not have a decision on what we're going to do between now and then, because January is done, it's over. Then what are you going to do? With the dogs?
In my opinion, we're going to be spending the money per month for them, and then possibly still have to pay the money for renovations on our short-term facility anyways. So that's, again, double
Well, that's
spending.
exactly what we're going to have to do, though, in order to move forward. We're going to have some place for our animals to go while we do our facility. I mean, that's...
No, I meant that if we extend the SPCA until January 31st and we don't have anything by then at January 31st, we're still going to have to make improvements to the courtyard possibly.
It's either that or go to the
further.
county and be paying $200 and some thousand out a year. So, I mean, I don't see where there's a choice, in my opinion, of what we're able to do at this point right now. I mean, to me, it's like we have to carry on as best we can with SPCA while we get a temporary facility in place so that we can make some decisions. I mean, we have to do something right now to make it to where it can still function.
So a quick question, I don't remember at the moment, but the term for possibly renovating our facility with the new cages with time frame?
I don't know what Lee's the one who's been looking into that, so I don't know what the turnaround is to order those. I'm hoping that it's very short, like by September 31st or 30th.
So let's assume.
That was my point. I just wanted the 20,000 we would be paying long-term for the SPCA until January. I was thinking could go towards the renovations that we would possibly have to be doing anyways if we didn't find anything by the end of that. We're gonna, at some point, we're gonna have to, I think, because I don't think a couple weeks is gonna be enough at this
What
point.
is the heating and air going to cost to do this temporary?
Well, water coolers...
Mr. Folsom, what's the heating and air going to cost to,
Jenna, don't we already have swamp coolers in there?
We have two giant swamp coolers that produce enough cool. The heat will be a later thing that we'll have to worry about when the weather starts cooling down. I know they had space heaters before, but I'm sure that we're going to come up with something better than that.
okay?
And if I may interject, when I'm talking about waiting till January 31st, I'm not waiting till January 31st to make a final decision. We're September 10th right now. We're looking at October 1st. So I would want to review on January 1st or our first meeting in January to see again where we stand. Because we know they have a facility that is up to par. We're talking about overpopulation issues here rather than anything else, but overpopulation in our kennels is easily exceeded very quickly compared to the numbers that we have at SPCA. And I know that we have animal control issues as far as the amount of work that is out there compared to what we can do with one animal control officer. And I hate to lower the level of service that we are offering to our community by going in-house when that gives us a good 4 months, a good 3 to 4 months to work on a final full facility and just to see where we stand at that point.
You're never going to have a full facility in 4 months. It's going to take at least a year or two to have a full facility. I mean, I don't care what we do, unless we're going to go rent a building and renovate it in 4 months. There's no way that's going to happen.
So to answer your question, maybe by having our animal control officer closer to home, not having to spend most of our time transporting back and forth, that alleviates some of that lost time, and that time could better be spent with the animals, reunifying them with their owners, that type of thing. But again, we need to take a step. We need to take a step toward a permanent solution.
And, yeah. And I think our job over the next few months during this period of time is to figure out where the funding is going to come from so that we can continue to provide increased and full services to this city.
So could I ask, how many times do you go to SPCA during the week?
Every single day.
So every single day, and it takes you how long each time that you go?
about 20 minutes there and 20 minutes back, and I'm usually there 45 minutes or so.
It's almost 2 hours every day.
2 hours a
That's
day.
10 hours a week,
Out of your 8-hour day.
40 hours a month.
Are we paying you 8 hours a day?
A lot of money.
Yes. Okay, making sure. Like, you are a full-timer.
There's our renovation right there.
Mhm.
And the money that we save on her wages
On her
doing
wages.
nothing, to me, pays for at least those little bit that we need to
Not to
do.
mention the gas and wear and tear on the vehicle.
Right, and the gas and everything. To me, that right there pays for what we have to do right now to our building over there. This seems feasible for us to do that now. I don't see the cost-wise this better for us.
Councilmember Purdock.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Lay your motion on the table.
I'd like to make a motion that we follow staff's recommendation, that we will utilize and work with SPCA until the January date. I'm sorry, the October date, and then we move forward with the necessary modifications and updates to the temporary facility at the old Public Works building as they submitted.
Okay. We have a motion and a second, and a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Overton. Councilmember Purdock.
Aye.
Councilmember Sabatier.
Nay.
Vice Mayor Fortino Dixon.
Aye.
Mayor Lislo.
Aye. Okay, moving on to item 14, submittal of the League of California Cities 2015 Annual Conference Resolutions Packet for review and determination of city position. I'll turn this over to our city manager.
So the annual League of Cities Conference is coming up in a couple of weeks. At the conference, there's going to be a number of proposed resolutions that all of the cities who attend get to vote on. At a previous council meeting, I believe that Councilmember Purdock was selected as the delegate, Vice Mayor Fortino Dixon as the first alternate, and Councilmember Sabatier as the second alternate. There are several resolutions that are here for council's consideration. Essentially, you need to give direction to Councilmember Purdock on how to vote at the annual conference.
Thank you. Let's see, any discussion?
Yes. Like anything, I would need to hear and witness the discussion and participate in the conversation. But I am looking forward to your direction before we leave. And Vice Mayor Fortino Dixon as well. So we have your guidance.
So should we go through them one at a time?
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So on the first resolution, it's recommended by the Administrative Services Policy Committee, of which I am not a member, nor have I been following their meetings. To authorize a change to the league bylaws to allow the immediate past president to fill an unexpected vacancy in the office of the presidency for the remainder of the vacating president's term.
And the reason for that was there had to be a vacancy due to a health issue, and the first president had to assume that. So when it gets to be official. Makes sense?
He's really, I always thought it was, that's why you're first president, the first, second president for that reason. So I'm trying to figure out.
But it needs to be
They don't have
voted
it in
on.
their policy.
I think, yeah, I guess we're just doing good vote and.
Well, I don't believe that she'll be returning to finish out her term.
Okay, so, okay, well then, that makes sense. I mean, it's common sense that the first president would take over and the vacancy happens because of illness or death. But I always understood it.
Is there a reason that the VP did not step up into that? position.
The first
But this
president.
says the immediate past president would fill the vacancy of the president.
So they're not going with the first presidency, they want to go with the past president. So, and I would say the first president, the reason why you have them is because they're supposed to step in when something happens to the president, so it doesn't make sense to me for the past president to be the one stepping in.
It says
That's was my logic as well. There's no reason to be in that position if that's not your role.
I mean, after I left presidency, I would have hated for them to call me and say, hey, we need you to come to me because this person is gone now, we need you to come fill the position. And when they have a first and second president and standing in line, that's why you fill those seats to be able to become president. I mean, I would say no, honestly.
And it does say here that the first vice president should carry on the duties of the president in the president's temporary absence.
Can you all talk in your microphones because we can't hear you back here? Thank you.
Sorry.
Well, I think what they should be putting up is a resolution to state if the president, the current president is out for longer than a period of time, that the first president would take over their position. That would be my resolution, not that they go back to the past president. Because sometimes past presidents aren't even on the city council anymore. So they're not even existing, so how are you going to go? So if the past president isn't there, then, then it just becomes a big ordeal. To me, is put the first president in place.
It's a big ordeal anytime there's something like that happens.
Yeah, but that's why you go through those positions, is so you have the opportunity to become president. Going back to the past president.
Is there currently a first vice president?
Yes.
It is.
Maybe Mr. Shield from Lakeport.
And but there's not a second vice president.
Not yet, they're looking to appoint.
Okay. So maybe that's,
And that will likely happen at the meeting as well.
okay. What's the reasoning that they want to move it to the immediate past president?
I'm not familiar with the intricacies. The first vice may not be able to step in.
And the second president was, there's no first and second. There's 3 stages you go through. Normally you become the second, and then you become the first, and then you become the current. You cannot say that the past president would step in because there's too often that there is no past president that is a city council.
But in this case, there must be.
So are we just passing a resolution for a one-time shot?
You're just giving direction.
No, it says it's changing the bylaws.
That's what I said. So that's what I was understanding, is that would totally change the bylaws. We cannot change the bylaws to do that.
It doesn't make sense to
We
do
can't change
that.
the bylaws to do that.
I mean, I suppose the bylaws could say that the immediate past president could be one of the people in line to succeed a vacant presidency.
But that's not what it says.
Right, and if it was a one-time deal to do something like that, and there was a reason behind it, why the first person couldn't do it, then that would be fine, but to change the whole shebang forever, I don't agree with that
But
either.
my assumption from when I looked at this was that this fits for the personalities that are in those positions right now. To me, the positions mean something, and this takes away the meaning of the positions. That is why I would advise that we vote against that.
To leave the bylaws as they are.
Exactly.
I agree.
Next.
Do we need a motion in a second?
I don't think you do. I think just direction.
Just consensus is fine. Thank you.
You're the lawyer members,
Yes, I am.
go there, and if you wanted to turn around and throw us under the bus,
I just never do that.
come home.
Okay, second. Resolution recommended by the Housing, Community, and Economic Development Policy Committee calls for the governor and the legislature to work with the league and others to explore options to address over-concentration of alcohol and drug abuse recovery and treatment facilities in residential neighborhoods.
My opinion on that one?
Please.
Yes.
Yeah, because what happens is because there's no regulations on a lot of these. It can be anywhere they want to be, anything they want to do, and
Sometimes it's certain neighborhoods that get chosen as the ones to receive all these types of facilities.
Right, and what's happening is because of this new law, there's more of these that are starting to pop up. So everybody's opening up sober houses. So
And they're able to just rent any home and then turn it into, this is wanting to regulate what zoning
I
can
totally
allow.
agree that we need to do this.
Rent facilities.
I agree with this one as well. The last resolution? Third, sorry.
You
started, you're doing a wonderful
Third
job.
resolution, also recommended by the Housing Community Economic Development Policy, is in support of SB 593, Senator McGuire, which would bolster local efforts to regulate and collect transient occupancy taxes from the temporary rental of residential houses, condos, rooms, and apartments.
Can you guys hear us back there?
Sorry, try that again.
So we know that we're not getting occupancy tax from a lot of that stuff. So, I mean, that's one of our problems here is that these people are not paying because they own them and they're not staying in them for, 3 or 4 months.
So we're talking about vacation rentals,
Right.
we're talking about, repair or something.
Right.
Airbnb, thank you.
Or VRBO or
Basically, this is whether or not the league will support a Senate bill from Senator McGuire that tries to help our local efforts in collecting that TOT tax from house rentals, room rentals, and other things like that. I'm absolutely in support of helping us make more tax revenue.
One of the things that I know another city in Mendocino County is also concerned about, and their city council is pretty much taking the stance currently, speaking of Fort Bragg, they don't want to lose that small town community feel, and by allowing VRBOs to exist within the city proper, that can change the dynamic of the city. If you have a rental that has back-to-back visitors, bridal or groom, best man parties, that type of thing, they can be loud, they can be disruptive in the neighborhood, and they're trying to limit that. So while I agree with Senator McGuire's direction on this, I still think we need to take local control on this particular topic if we're looking at allowing VRBOs within the city limits in the future. Anyway, but I like the idea of the TOT.
But at the same time, this is not whether or not there can be those.
Correct.
It's whether or not we can help to collect, right?
So yes, I agree with yes vote on that. But I think we missed one on the compensation for prolonged electrical power outages.
No, that was the last one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Environmental quality.
Gina hasn't read that one yet.
Okay, I'm looking at the other page, sorry. It was out of order.
You're out of order.
I'm out of order.
Finally, the
Go ahead.
last resolution is recommended by the Environmental Quality Policy Committee. While this resolution does not directly affect our city, it impacts many cities in Southern California, serviced by the Southern California Edison, which is their equivalent to PG&E. This resolution calls upon the governor and the legislature to work with the league to enact legislation or otherwise compel SCE to create a program to automatically provide direct compensation to its customers affected by a prolonged electrical power outage under specified circumstances. There is currently no mechanism in place for SCE to do so. Voting in favor of this resolution will show solidarity with our league colleagues to enact legislation to assist constituents.
This is kind of a hard one because, if there's no electrical available, I mean, how are they supposed to provide it? What are they planning them to do?
Well, I think they're asking for compensation for the lack of power, not to provide power when there's no power.
You're getting compensated, you're not paying the electric when it's not being used. I'm sitting here trying to fix it. They want them to bring an emergency facility, or repay them if they have to bring it.
Impacts, work stoppages, things like that. There are financial and fiscal impacts when the service is out.
So is this company, this is a PG&E, right? This is a...
The equivalent of PG&E itself.
So then, so what they're doing is trying to force these people, like PG&E has a claim process. You file a claim, you know, their electricity's out too long, your food gets ruined, you file a claim, they pay you for what your value of your food is.
Yeah.
So on pretty normal basis, they're pretty good about
SCE does
that.
not have that.
So they don't have that, so they're wanting them to.
They're wanting
provide that.
have that
I just wanted to make sure I was getting this, like, what do they want to get reimbursed for? So, okay, so,
They pay me for having to use all my candles.
I personally am in support of this, just because it seems to make sense, especially from a business perspective. I know that we've had some electricity outages not too long ago over the course of the fires, and I'm sure that definitely hit some of the businesses pretty hard. And also, I hope that the support of a southern company will eventually lead to support when we need their support in the future as well.
It just makes sense. It makes sense. I agree with this one as well.
you know what's sad is that we actually have to force a company to do the right thing.
Yeah.
To be best practice.
For the record, I was on page 4, on your direction.
Gotcha, and I was reading from the staff report.
As long as you have the right directions on the right items, we're good.
We will both get to the end, right? We just took different routes.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
there we go.
Madam Mayor, I don't know if we asked for public comment on this.
We haven't yet.
Why don't we ask for that before we move on?
That's a good idea.
On these 4 enacting measures that will be voted on by our delegate, is there any public comment on them? We went through each and every one. Okay, seeing none, we're good. Okay. Coming back to... Yes, back to reports. So I'll turn this over to our city manager for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. We had an internal staff meeting this week to discuss our special event permitting process. Found out that our applications don't exactly follow what the ordinance is, so we're going to be updating our applications for special events. And then we're going to make our process a little bit more formal for how things get issued to Public Works and the police department with regard to events. So I want to actually thank Bruno for bringing some of these issues to our attention. We had a conference call with California Grocers Association to discuss proposed shopping cart ordinance. They're going to be getting us a little bit more information, and we're hoping to have something together that we can discuss with the local retailers in the next few weeks, and that we can then come to council for this discussion in October. We're planning, Gary mentioned this earlier, but I just want to reiterate it. We are planning an EIR scoping meeting here at City Hall at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, September 23rd. We'll be notifying residents within 1,000 feet of Walmart. We're only required to notify people within 300 feet, but we want to take the extra step. We'll also be notifying interested parties and posting the information on our website. We'll have our EIR consultant there to discuss the project and any concerns that people have. Please let me know if any of you are planning to attend that, because if more than 2 of you are attending, then we do need to notice the meeting as well. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Sabatier?
Not much to report as far as official business, other than next Wednesday, the LAPCO meeting will be meeting, and then October 1st, I believe, the successor agency will be meeting as well. I have a comment to make. Not sure if this is the appropriate time or not, but I will be making it. I know that in January, and it's probably going to get me in trouble, in January or February, the city recommended that we have a zero tolerance on marijuana grows. Right now, we seem to be behind in eradicating the current grows that we have with 6 to 48. I want to see every single one of those eradicated. I do not want a neighbor to feel like they've been left out of the services that the city needs to provide for this situation. I just visited a place today. There's some very, we have some bad people in our town that are doing some bad things, and people need some help. And I don't want people to feel uncomfortable in their homes. And so I would like us to not only eradicate all the plants that are over the limits that we allowed, but I want us to eradicate a list of all those places that we need to eradicate again, please. So, thank you.
Councilmember Overton?
No, don't know about getting in trouble, but so, one of the things, speaking of that, is that when they do eradication, they need to not just push them over. Because what happens is when they leave, they just stake them back up and water them. So that is one of our problems that we're having. They're not actually removing them. So I just found that information out, so you might want to make sure that they remove them. I just came back from LAFCO convention in Sacramento. It was very interesting. Didn't learn a lot about LAFCO, but brought information back for a city. So I thought this was a good city. I told them they should go to the League of Cities because the things they had were really good, but it was really more for cities than it was for LAFCO. So still was a good thing there. And LAFCO is this Wednesday in Lakeport at 1 o'clock. There's been a time change on that due to the spheres of influence at Lakeport. We couldn't get through it last time. There were some questions about it. So I did agree for our community to be the nice community people to go ahead and let them have it up there because it is all about them and their people really need to be able to come. Unfortunately, we could not get into the chamber until 1 o'clock, so it will not be at 9, it'll be at 1. So I just want to make sure everybody knew that. Went to the meeting last night, PAG board meeting. Thank you very much. You guys were all very kind, and we're hopefully going to start working together to do some fundraising and marketing and trying to get words out with regarding the senior center, the youth center, and the PAG station. We're going to start trying to hopefully do some fundraisers together, and I'm really looking forward to working with all the groups. One of the things I wanted to do is let people know that we want to get our community garden open. And so that if anybody is interested in helping participate in moving that forward, please give me a call either at the senior center, or I think everybody has my cell phone. That's something that I think we'd like to get moving forward, get the design out there, and get these things done where it should be. It should be open. I'd like to make sure that we have it all in place and open for the spring planting. So if anybody would like to do that and come help the senior center plant their winter garden, we'd be more than happy to share. The senior center will be having their Meals and Wheels hoedown on September 19th. Tickets are $25. We do take credit cards, so you can purchase your tickets by credit cards now, and you can get them also at Bob's Vacuum. So that supports the Meals on Wheels delivery to the people that are homebound or unable to get to the store so easily. So please come to that. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Purdock?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The APC meeting was canceled, so I have very little or nothing to report. I'll save the time.
Okay. That same item is on my report. The APC meeting was canceled. The regularly scheduled meeting for next month will continue. Are you working with NCO at all on the garden project?
I haven't contacted them, but somebody can tell me to go over it.
They're in the process of hiring someone to coordinate all the gardening projects within the county, so that's great. Let me see, is there anything else I need to say? No. Several of us will be attending the LEAD conference at the end of the month. I'm very excited about that and the ability to network and learn a lot of new things we can bring back. I'd like to propose, we'll be there, so we'll meet at some point during that, because I'm going to thank you guys.
And you guys can legally meet.
Discuss ideas that we learn together and kind of share, so that if you're in a different breakout group than me, I can learn what you learned and learn what I learned and all that.
As long as there's not a brownie by then.
As long as we don't discuss anything within the purview of the city.
It's all about learning.
Right.
We can't talk about the food. And lastly, because this, I forgot to say this earlier, regards to our interim animal control shelter, I would like to see a staffing plan brought back to the council. It's for how the animals are going to be attended to, and for 2 reasons. So that way we can say to the community we're aware of what's going on, and also I can plug myself in empty spots when I have free time to pop over and walk a dog or pet a cat or something.
Because it's 24-hour care, actually. It's just like that. It's just till what time? 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock?
Hey, cats like that. Hey, Cooper's
super drop too, right?
Yeah, if it's there. Can I mention something really quick? Bruno, didn't you have another event to advertise? So you have something coming on the 20th?
Yeah, Power to the Youth.
So, well, people should know that.
Power to the Youth will be on September 20th from 10 to 2 p.m. There'll be basketball, skate park competition, flag football, wiffle ball, 2 stages with 8 separate live bands. We're even going to have a mechanical bull, so please come out and have fun. Ordering any wild wind first.
Let's not do that again.
Okay. Mine's short, sweet, and simple. I did attend the PEG board meeting last night, and we had a very good meeting, and we're talking about some good things coming up in the future with collaboration and possible capital investments with funding. So I am back on track with meetings with the city manager. Yay. Finally, sorry. He probably thought I was just like an MIA mayor out there doing my own thing, not communicating with anybody. But I'm back. I meet on Tuesdays, so if anybody is ever concerned and has an issue and I can't solve it, I do meet with him weekly. And if I can't give you the answer, I will definitely find it and get it for you and get that answer back to you if you're unable to get it from staff yourself. So with that, the meeting will be adjourned.